Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk about today about GenAI journey that we are seeing for the different startups, enterprises. So here, obviously, the intention is to go how you can build your enterprise tomorrow using with GenAI applications. So quickly, with the raise of hands, I would like to check how many of you are really working on GenAI apps already or thinking to use GenAI. Yeah, that's a good number. I expected so. So let's talk about what is really Gen AI, right? We are seeing this as a buzzword, and everybody is talking about it today, but really Gen AI is software that can generate or create something new when asked through a prompt. There could be a lot of use cases, a lot of things that you can do. You can generate probably text, which is response to certain queries. You can generate new images, videos. You can create your code automatically, which can expedite the development of new features, right? So what really happens is, in everybody's life or in business, you will have certain crucible moments, certain transformation moments which change your lives, which change your businesses. And certainly, GenAI looks like such a transformational moment. What we are hearing from the analysts, if I talk about Gartner, they're really talking about that GenAI is going to change businesses. They're going to hit industries very positively, what you have not seen in previous technology shifts. They're talking about 80% of enterprises will use GenAI by 2026, which is like hardly 2 years, 2.5 years away, right? And it is going to impact or add to the economy almost $4 trillion. This is across industries, not specific businesses or specific industries. This is across industries. Yes, of course, there are certain industries which you will see the major impact because a lot of applications, these are industries are already building on GenAI. And not only that, it is going to add 60 to 70% automation to what we are doing today. I mean, in day-to-day life, what we are doing in our businesses and offices, we're going to automate these 60 to 70% processes which are run by a human today, but you will be able using GenAI to basically build these capabilities which can automate all of that. If I talk about McKinsey reporting, what they're talking is, of course, there's impact in all the industries. Every industry is going to earn profitability through GenAI applications. But there are certain industries which are showing huge impact right away. Financial services, pharma and healthcare, software and tech, all of us probably are doing in some way some software development, right? Retail and CPG, you are seeing immediate impact. If you look at these numbers, we are talking about billions of profits getting added to their balance sheet, right? So look at financial services, we are talking about 200 to 340 billion. We are talking about pharma and healthcare, we are talking about 60 to 110 billion. Software and tech, again a huge number, 200 to 340 billion. And retail and CPG, biggest number you are seeing here, 400 to 660 billion. Already these industries are adopting GenAI applications, and they're on a way to figure out multiple use cases. Let's look at certain other use cases that we are seeing. And again, this is not exhaustive list, right? When you build GenAI, if I'm really looking financial modeling, I have so much of transactions coming in, so much of data sitting with me. There's a lot of information available in the market, news, industry trends, and all that, which really help me do the financial modeling. And I can predict, okay, what is the market trends, what is going to happen, which probably could be the right investment for me. I talk about scientific research. You can build molecular structures using the past research, what you have done. You can probably generate scientific theories based on GenAI, and this is happening. If I talk about entertainment, you can build new videos, images, music. All of that is happening again. You can do a lot of sentimental analysis, which can help identify what your end customers are doing, what they're looking for, and based on you can treat how my next action could be for them, right? Which is helping customer service a lot. How we are helping as a MongoDB. The use cases that are talked about, we are already working with a lot of customers where they're using MongoDB to generate that. But where do I play a role? If I look at any GenAI app, there are essentially 3 layers. The first layer that you're seeing is where the most of the investment has gone today, which is the foundation layer. You have compute there, you have AI models. There is a top layer, which is AI apps and experiences. So as an end user, I'm essentially using that layer to interact with you, right? So you build fancy things at times, you build different experiences where my overall user experience increases. But to connect these two dots, you really require the middle layer, which is the whole tooling part of it, which is connecting your foundations to the experiences. You are building your own data and whatever available in the market, bring them together, and then fine-tuning them to give the right information, which is specific to your business, specific to your case, and that's where MongoDB play a huge role. So if I look at this middle layer, what we are doing is MongoDB already has a data platform, which essentially provides you a variety of stuff. The database, which can cater to a lot of different data models. It could be having a OLTP transaction coming from a workload perspective. It could be having a vector search. It could have full text search. You can build your analytics on top of that. You can bring time series, event-driven stuff and all. Underneath, you can have a multi-cloud, which essentially provide you a scalability, resiliency. You can host anywhere. And of course, we provide enterprise security and the performance. And all of this is coming through unified APIs, unified interface. What it really means is, as a developer, I really don't have to bother about learning new stuff, new technologies. Let's look at quickly what we are doing here. It is already established that I'm having foundational models available, certain other models available, which are trained on the public data which is available. Now, everybody sitting in this room can use those models. They can generate certain insights. But it is going to help my business? Probably no, because everyone can do that. Everyone is generating the same kind of insights. Now, how can I basically make it very specific to the customer? How can I make it my business specific? And that's where the real thing comes in, where you are dealing with the proprietary data. What MongoDB is helping our customer is, while you are using this public data where already you have AI models generated, so you have something to work with to start with. But then you combine that with the proprietary data, where you have your company data, you have product information, you have a customer information, you might be getting different calls from the customer, which is like a support information, or maybe whatever interactions you are having over the call, over the tickets, right? And then you have different unstructured data, which is PDFs, market information, all of that you have covered, order histories. You combine that, and then you actually generate the insights, which will be more meaningful. Now, what is different here in this data is, typically I used to work with the structured data, and most of my application probably still will be on structured data. Over a period of time, we have started using unstructured data, but still we have not found out the potential of that unstructured data. And that's almost 80% of real-world data, which is unstructured. With MongoDB, you can combine this unstructured data and find potential while you are building your model, which is specific to your business, specific to your case, and that will give you a competitive edge. Now, when I'm building a GenAI app, they're essential. Sorry, it's not updated here. It's not updating it here. Okay. Yeah. So when you're building a GenAI app, there are essentially certain properties that a GenAI required, which is you need to have a reliable and consistent access of real-time data. You require secure and compliant by default, by design. You need to get to the market pretty quickly with a minimal risk. What it really means is, if you have idea, you want to hit the market immediately with your MVP and see how customers are using it, what response you get from them, what feedback you are getting from them, and then you apply on top of that, which means you want to put an incremental release pretty quickly, and as the adoption increases, you have to scale it, you have to evolve with more and more data to make it more closer to the customer. And more important is, you have to have a simplified architecture. In today's world, my architectures are already very, very complex. I'm having multiple technologies, multiple databases. I'm duplicating data across. And if I'm not doing a simplification, what it really means is, as a developer, it reduces my pace. I'll slow down because I have to do a lot of integration points and all that. That's where simplicity is very important. And it's not just the data architecture where you're simplifying things. It is the data also which you want to simplify, right? You can't just have same data coming from every resources, right? You might be having different kind of data. It's pretty diverse, right? So you have to combine all of that with probably fewer technologies. Lastly, when I talk about foundation things of any modernization app, you require them to be secured, reliable, resilient, working 24 by 7, and it has to be probably available across cloud, across regions. You have a global customers, which means you cannot just run probably in India, you may be running globally. So let's take one example here. If I am looking for a house somewhere close to 10 miles for a particular pin code, and I want a house which looks something like this, and probably in Bangalore, if you're looking, you might want in a specific area, okay, I want a house in Whitefield, or maybe Manhattan, or maybe close to the airport, and this is what my requirements are, and this is my budget. So how do you identify that? It's very difficult. I mean, I go to probably a lot of different websites which are available in market to search for the house, but if I want a real results which is pretty closer to what I'm looking, there are certain attributes that you need. One, I have a core data, which you have a document model because you can have different attributes. So you really don't want that I'm bound with a certain structure. And that should require a geospatial information as well so that you can figure out the proximity where the house is based on my zip code that I'm looking for. You require Atlas vector search capabilities, and that will help you identify what are the closer proximity in terms of various parameters, certainly in this case, image, right? So it can basically figure out that this house looks like whatever the image you're seeing on the screen, and something similar, what is the closest match, right? So that images you convert into vector embeddings and give you the results. And lastly, you want to combine that with the source data, the metadata which is required. Now imagine if you're having this thing sitting in two different places, it's pretty complex for me to figure out, okay, one place I'm doing the vector search, another place then I have to combine that at on application level. With MongoDB, you have pretty much at the same place, right? So you can combine both source and metadata along with the vector search. Like I said earlier, we are already working with a lot of customers across industries who are implementing a lot of these use cases. So some of these examples I'm talking about, the first one is very interesting, which is Devanagari. And here what we have done is that this is like India's first machine translation platform where using the custom model, you are able to generate content local to your languages. We have translated a lot of web pages, PDF, various on mobile apps, on images on the fly using this thing. And what really helped here is that MongoDB has a flexible data model. It has a scale. You can basically do both data ingestion and search in parallel at scale, right? Because both the data is sitting in MongoDB, whether it is vector data or your, like I said, core data, the source data and the metadata. Another example from a healthcare compliance innovate, where we have basically monitoring all the data which is coming in the complete life cycle of the healthcare. You are extracting that data, you are classifying that data, and on top of that, you can basically have a chatbot which automatically creates regulatory reports, compliance reports, right? So it's, like I said earlier, you are automating a lot of processes where you're spending time earlier. Through GenAI, you don't have to spend time on those things. It can be automated pretty easily, right? So that's what we did in healthcare, and what really helped in this case is they were using standalone vector search database, and then they were having your data sitting somewhere else. What they did is migrating to Atlas is that their data, which is again like core data, and the vector is sitting together, and then you can combine and give much better results. Now they have pretty much OLTP, analytics, all sitting in MongoDB Atlas. Another example, which is for AI-driven e-commerce, and the customers that I'm talking here, as you can see, is like Adidas, Bosch, you have Canon, Chevrolet. All of these customers are using GenAI through GoBots. And what we have done there is you have natural language understanding NLUs, which automate the whole customer interactions. So again, it's like a customer service, but what matters here is that while I'm, as a consumer, looking for a product, I can chat, figure out whether it's the right product for me or not. From a customer service perspective, if I'm having certain query, usually I'll do a phone call, chat, and all that. It takes a lot of time to resolve, and sometimes you get frustrated as well, right? But with this, we are able to resolve those problems 70% faster. Sales has increased 40%. There's an uplift there. So the conversion is pretty heavy. And again, how it really helps is, same thing. You have Atlas database. You have a vector database sitting together. It really eases the development cycle. As a developer, it makes my life much, much better. So the important thing is, while I'm doing a lot of things for the customer, But do I think for myself as well? I'm also running an organization, MongoDB, and you're all running your organization. Do I want to probably automate, leverage GenAI for my internal processes, internal things? Why not? And that's where we have done a lot of these things that you're seeing on the screen here. These are our internal apps, which is helping different teams, different departments within MongoDB. So the first one that you're seeing is, I'll not go through everyone, but maybe I'll talk about few. The first one you're seeing is something which is our marketing ops team is using, which is called Ask Ops AI, where they're having customer data sitting in, and they know, okay, which stage they are, what they're planning to, where we are. Based on that, they can have a personalized interaction with them. They can share information which is useful for them. Second one is very interesting again. It's for our technical service team. Typically, you call us technical support team, where they have TS tools. You are getting a different tickets from us customers. You can generate a summary of your support case. You can generate the recommendations based on whatever the support case is being provided. And a lot of this information, which you are spending time manually so far, but it can generate the automate report, help reduce your time that you're spending on it. Another example, Mana, where you can build the guild rules for automation perspective. There's one more which I'll talk about here is Code GTM. Pretty much every employee of MongoDB is using Code GTM for different purposes. It has essentially like different documents, which could be related to MongoDB technologies and other support systems and all. And I can go and question, okay, how this thing is working. And you get the answer immediately, right? Whether it is from technical perspective, whether it is from process perspective, and a lot of other things. Because you have put together all this information together. On top of that, you have generated this Q&A kind of a thing, right? So it really helps. And not just that, very important thing which we are doing with a lot of our customer is, everyone is on a modernization journey, right? And they really want to modernization from, mainly because it helps them do things faster. They want to bring a new feature. It helps them bring those new features to the market faster if they're modernized. They're not restricted by the legacy technologies. And that's where we are leveraging GenAI to help our customer migrate from legacy applications to modern. Now, there is a huge difference when I talk about GenAI applications or GenAI as a technology shift. Unlike older technology shifts, like if I talk about internet, if I talk about mobile revolution, if I talk about people doing automations through AI in the beginning, like when we were in the college days, probably we were learning about AI MLs, the adoption was much slow. You literally have to do a lot of enablement, a lot of coaching to bring to the people on the forum that, yes, this is a thing for the future. But with GenAI, everyone is talking today a lot, whether it is enterprise organizations, whether it is startups, whether it is government, whether it is internal processes within any organizations. Everybody is looking GenAI as a bigger shift. And that's where you are not going to realize the results maybe 10 years down the line. You are realizing the results today. You are going to realize the results 2 years down the line. Already, I talked about a lot of examples, and if you talk about here, again, there's many internal examples that I'm talking about here. As a developer, within my organization, I can use content generation from a code development perspective. I can do from a code review perspective. I can do from a sales perspective. I'm writing a lot of media articles possibly based on that, because I know what is happening in the industry and just leverage GenAI to generate the content of that. Workflow management, all of this is happening from internally perspective. If I talk about end user perspective, retail and CPG industry, and not just retail and CPG, in fact, a lot of industries where they want to do personalization, they're already leveraging customer-facing examples there I'm talking. They're already leveraging retail and CPG to personalize the whole experience, what they want to buy, what could be next best actions. Depending on where they are in the journey, it could be like they are buying certain products, it could be the order is placed and then the fulfillment is happening, it could be after sales service. Already all of that is happening. There are a lot of text, video, images, and personalized stuff is getting generated in the media and entertainment industry. If I talk about OTT platforms today, when I go on OTT platforms, I really want to see like what are the next recommendations for me, what I'm really looking exactly that probably I want to do. While I have a lot of information available from the public, okay, who is using what and all, but it is very important that look at what I'm interested in. And it's just not text-based what used to happen earlier. It is based on like intuitiveness. It's based on the context, and that's where it is giving the personalizing that, okay, this is what probably you want to use. Anomaly detection. So a lot of these experiences are already showing up as a result in the industry. Now, how this is happening, essentially it is the RAG, retrieval augmented generation. When you are using MongoDB, what you are doing is, as a user, what you see on the left, I'm having a prompt from these GenAI apps, which is essentially asking the question, what I'm really looking for. There is an embedding model, which probably you have used the same to generate the vector embeddings earlier and is stored in the vector search database. But these prompts you are converting into vector embedding, which is then sent to MongoDB Atlas. And there you are combining that with MongoDB core data as well as vector search. And the result is basically coming out in the form of related information, related documents that you want to show. Then this is passed to LLMs. What is happening there is these results basically are converted into the context-based response, what the question was from the customer or the end user, right? And you combine that along with the results and then give the user response. So while embedding model we talked about is very important here, LLMs is from the top layer perspective where the user experience is coming, but the whole tooling part that we talked about, the middle layer, is what is happening in MongoDB Atlas. Now, we have talked about RAG, we talked about GenAI, what is really happening, but it's just not about vector search, right? You want to unify the whole experience as a developer to make your development faster, you want to reduce time to market. And that's where a lot of this capability come into play, which is what Atlas as a data platform provides. So if you look at it, your application is sitting on the top, which you see on the blue color. Then you have vector search capabilities, which we are providing as a native capabilities. You can build our whole AI ecosystem there. You can have RAG implementation, what we talked about in the previous slide. But you are getting Atlas unified API here, which can combine vector search capabilities and other different capabilities, which we talked about, text search, standard queries that you want to do, geospatial, event-based stuff, all of that, which you see in the middle layer, like what you see, like full text search, vector search, stream processing, edge computing, all of that, transactions. So you can combine, all of this is available in the data platform. The beauty of this is, like I said, document models can be modeled in a way that you have requirement from a different variety of data. So if I'm having relational data, I can model like that. If I'm having a geospatial data requirement, I can model like that. And the beauty is that as a developer, I'm accessing in the same way all of this, whether I'm using text search, whether I'm using vector, whether I'm having a model related to relational data, which is transactions essentially typically we look at. All of that, you are still using the similar kind of APIs as a developer. So it really helps me. And then you have finally the last layer, which is MongoDB Atlas platform, where you can deploy it anywhere. You can have scalability, reliability, what we talked about, the standard attributes or the table stakes from a modern application perspective. I'll leave you with this, what we just talked about. So essentially what we are doing is unifying the whole operational and vector database experience. Any questions I'll address after this, but just to give you a summary of what we talked about is, you have OLTP systems running, you have time series running here, you have full text search, analytics, stream processing, all of this in Atlas Data Platform, and that's where the whole platform is bringing things together for you. We are already working with multiple customers, like I talked about. In the startup space, we have identified over 500 startups who are already using MongoDB for their GenAI apps. And I'm just talking startups here. There are a lot of enterprises who are already using. We are working with them. And some of that shown here. What I really want is that when you look at the whole platform, you just don't look at the one capability that you're looking from a GenAI perspective. You look at, okay, how I can bring the new features faster to the market, how can do that things faster from a developer perspective, how can bring that experience to my internal team who's the core of it, which is my developers, and build the right experiences. With that, I'll I'll conclude it. Thank you so much for having me. If there is questions, I can probably address. Yep.
To get Hey, sorry, I'll repeat the question. Uh, there was a layer where you were saying that, just a couple of slides before that, uh, where the proprietary data is being used for the Gen AI and to make business related decisions. The two questions around that is, first, are you sharing that company proprietary data with that particular vendor? I believe it's not a private LLM, it's a public Gen AI forum like ChatGPT. Or is there a middle layer where you're converting that and then getting the responses? I'm not asking the implementation details, but the data security
No, I mean,
perspective.
thank you for asking that question. Um, what really is happening here is it's not we as a MongoDB bringing that proprietary data and doing stuff, right? And opening it for everyone. What we're talking about here is you already have a models in place which are built on a public data, right? And now this public data can be used by anybody. So the models which are trained using this pretty much will get similar results. Now, if you want to bring a unique experiences for your customers, you need to include that with your proprietary data. So when as a developer, I'm implementing it, what I'll do is I'll use that model, I'll train that further using this proprietary data, which means now model is understanding my data as well and trained on top of that, right? So that's number one. The number two part is when I'm processing all this information, when the end user is using my application, and when I'm generating the results relevant to him or relevant to her, what is happening is it is using my model, which is already trained on my proprietary data. It understands what it is. And on top of that, you're combining with the metadata, you're combining the source data, which could be, like I said, it could be like order history if I talk about e-commerce, right? It could be like different interaction you have from a customer service perspective. You're combining that and then generating the results. So I'm not doing that as such from a MongoDB perspective and making it public. It is within your organization when you're implementing a GenAI app and you're using Atlas. You are combining all of that and then generating the results. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any other question? All right then, thank you so much for having me.